Welcome to Canada Experience. We are bringing you stories of people who have come to Canada. They have lived here and they have interesting stories that is worth sharing. So today I have here with me Pastor Isaac Oduro-Kwarteng from Ghana, and he's a pastor of All Nations Full Gospel Church, St. Catharines. We are going to tap into his experience, and I believe that by the time you live here, you will go with something good for you. It will also help you in your life. Welcome, Pastor Isaac Oduro-Kwarteng.
Thank you very much, By Evans.
All right. So today we are very happy to have you here on this show. And we believe that your stories are very inspiring, and we want to also share so that we can use it to model our life. Pastor, where are you from?
Thank you very much for the opportunity to appear on this show. So I am originally from Ghana, as you mentioned, but if you really want to dive deep into it, I come from a very small village in the Ashanti region. It's called Nsuta. No, that's my father's side. Actually, it's called Webri.
Okay.
And it is, I have never been there actually, but I hear it is close to Konongo. I lived my formative years in Konongo in the Ashanti region as well.
Okay.
After spending some time between Konongo and Asankare, I had my basic education in Konongo, a school called Pinamai Educational Complex.
Government school?
No, it was a private school.
Okay.
It used to be a business school, and then they converted it into an international school. And so, I basically grew up in Konongo, so I consider myself a Konongo boy, and I am a pure Ashanti Achim boy. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ashanti Achim boy. Yeah. All right. So, then, how did you make it to Canada?
Okay. So, after I had my basic education, that is JSS in Konongo, and by the grace of God, I was able to make it to Prempeh College for my senior secondary school education.
All right.
And afterwards, I was also able to pass, and I came to University of Ghana, and there I studied economics and math. And after school, it was just a chance encounter between myself and some of my friends who were TAs at that time. After school, I was a TA in mathematics, and they mentioned to me that they had gotten admission to specifically the school that I came to, Brock. They had gotten admission to Brock, and then they were leaving for Canada. I didn't even have a clue that I could apply to schools outside of Ghana. In fact, I had made plans to attend an MPhil program in Ghana at the University of Ghana, MPhil Economics. But the guy encouraged me, Francis. He had his PhD in computer science. He's now working in Ottawa. And he encouraged me to not go to the MPhil program that year. That was back in 2010. And rather apply to Brock for the economics program to come here the next year. And by the grace of God, I got admission, I got some funding, and so that's how come I ended up in Canada. So had it not been him, I would have, I don't know, my life would have been different.
Oh, wow. So your studies in Ghana, you were not sure whether you want to go outside. You know, people go outside because they feel that their academic background supports them. Were you not confident with your...
Oh, I had a first class.
Okay.
I was a TA. The thing is, I didn't have the right information at that time.
Okay.
I knew that it was possible to come, to go do your master's and study outside the country, but I didn't think it was possible to get funding. I thought that you have to have the means to fund yourself, like pay your school fees, your tuition, your living expenses, and the like. I had no clue that I could there was anything called funding or scholarships and those kind of things. And so when he had mentioned to me, he did a combined majors in mathematics and computer science.
Okay.
And he was a math TA, and he got admission to Brock with full funding, of course, to come do a Master of Science in Computer Science.
Okay.
And for me, even though I was a math TA, I had wanted to do my master's in economics. And when he spoke with me, he made me understand that yes, with first class it was easy for me. Not easy. It was I could potentially get admission to Brock, and so he encouraged me. And at that time, by the grace of God, and interestingly, I had a student who attended an international school in Ghana, who was from Canada. Like the parents were based in Edmonton. And so they had come to Ghana for vacations, and I think they had brought a daughter to school in Ghana for about a year, and they needed someone to help her with math. And so I don't know how, I've forgotten how we were connected, but I was talking with the mom the one day, and the mom said, hey, yeah, you should apply to schools in Canada. And so, in fact, the mom encouraged me to also apply to U of Alberta. And by the grace of God, I got it, but they didn't give me any funding. But Brock came with funding and everything, and so that made the decision to come to Brock.
Wow. So when you got admission, many countries, when you are going there, you need a study permit or a visa. How was yours like?
Mine, it took a lot of determination and a lot of prayers, I must say, because yes, I got my admission letter, and it stated that I was going to be given funding for the duration of my program, and that I was even also going to be a TA. But to apply for a Canadian visa in Ghana at that time, back in 2011, you had to show, I think it's still the same, you had to show that you could financially support yourself. I don't come from a very rich home.
Yeah.
And so I had to use people. I had to use an auntie of mine who, at the time, I lived with in Accra when I came to University of Ghana. She supported me. She and the husband, they supported me with their bank statement. But I had to apply 4 times before I got my visa. And the interesting thing at that time was that you had to get to the embassy, the Canadian embassy, in the morning, by 9 o'clock in the morning, to submit your application for the visa. And then you had to come back the same day at 3 o'clock. And by the time you come back, like, they would have reviewed all the applications. I don't know how they did it then. But once you come back at 3 o'clock, you got to know whether you were going to do your medicals or you weren't going to do your medicals.
Oh, so it's just the same day? Or
the same day. If you got denied, bounced, it was the same day. And if you were going to go forward, then they will give you a brown envelope for you to go do your medicals. And for 3, like, the first denial was that I didn't have enough funds. Second one was I wasn't a genuine student. Third one was I didn't have enough ties or something like that.
Even with the scholarship?
And everything, yeah. But Brock, the international student office at Brock at that time actually wrote a letter. And my department also wrote a letter to support my last application. I went to the High Court to get a letter, an affidavit that I wasn't going to come back. I'm still here.
I
was going to come back to Ghana after my studies, and that was 8 years ago.
I haven't gone there.
Yeah, so, but and prayer, of course. I had to pray. I made some offerings as well, and God, by the grace of God, I was able to make it.
So you can say God intervened.
Oh yeah, God did.
God intervened. All right. All right. So how was your face like, your mood when you got rejected the first one?
At that time, as I said, I was a hustler man in Accra. I was done school. I had a few people that I taught in addition to being a TA. And so I had saved some monies that I was actually going to use to attend my MPhil program at that time. But when my focus shifted to now coming to Canada, interestingly, it was only Canadian schools I applied to. Didn't even apply to any school in the US. Actually, I lied. I also applied to one school in the US, which I got, but I didn't get any funding. But so the monies that I had at that time, there was a plan to the money. The plan was that apply one time, get your study permit. Another time, I think if you applied, the fee, if you converted, it was about 500 cedis, Ghana cedis. And 4 times, that's 2,000 cedis.
Yeah, you spend a lot.
That is just the application fee. All the printing, the statements, and all those sort of things that you had to do was an extra, maybe 500 in addition to that. And so that was a huge dent in my resources. And so anytime that I went and they bounced me, it was like I had to just encourage myself. And the thing was, as soon as you went in there after 3 o'clock, you went to the embassy. When they mentioned your name and you saw them with a big file, then it means that you have
It's
been
not
bounced.
going to go well.
Yeah, because once they bounce you, they give you every application, everything that you brought, minus the bank draft, right? And so they put it in a very nice file, brown envelope for you. File for you. But if you were moving forward, then they only gave you a brown envelope. And so for 3 times, they will call me, and as soon as they call me, like even before you get there, you will see them holding it. And so it was bad, but it wasn't a good experience. It wasn't a good experience, yeah.
Wow.
And had they bounced me the 4th time, I wouldn't have
You would have
applied
given
again,
up.
because I didn't have any more money at that time.
All right. So thanks, Pastor, we are taking a short break. We'll come back and we know how you made it. Your first time in Canada, how things were going for you. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We are still on the conversation with Pastor Isaac Oduro-Kwarteng, originally from Ghana and now resident of Canada. So, Pastor, when you finally got approved and you know that now you are going to Canada, how was your preparation?
Okay. So my program of study was supposed to start in August, but actually mid-August. And by mid-August, I didn't have a visa. And so I got my visa late August. And so when I got my visa, I literally had about, like, the earlier the better for me to come to Canada. And I will never forget how much it cost me to, like, a one-way flight within 5 days after I got the visa. Within 5 days, I had to come here, and it cost me, it was 1907, $1,907 US. My wife, then girlfriend at that time, supported me. She was a banker. She had money.
Yeah.
So she supported me. Family and friends also gave me a few monies here and there. And by the grace of God, I was able to get the ticket. And so I had to come here. And I got to Canada on September 4, 2011. That was a Sunday. That was when I got to Canada, September 4, 2011. So it's going to be 10 years soon. This year is 10 years. This year in September it will be 10 years. Yeah, and yeah, it was just quick, because I was already late. I didn't know if, for me, I felt like maybe they might think I wasn't going to come. I had been in conversation with my supervisor at that time, but I just wanted to let them know that I was serious. And so as soon as I got a visa, I just put everything in place and came here.
Yeah. All right. I don't want to forget this question, but let me go back. When your friend told you about Brock University, did you have to contact someone at Brock before applying, like a supervisor? Before?
Yeah. Actually, that is one thing that I will recommend anybody that is watching this video that is interested in coming to school here. It's like, it doesn't matter where. If you're interested in continuing education outside of the country, one thing that you should do is try to get at least one professor in your
field of study.
Try to get in the good books of at least one professor in your department. The reason why that is important, some schools actually, they ask you if you have already contacted a professor that has agreed to work with you as part of the application process. But generally, if you have a professor that likes you even before you come here, based on your transcript and everything, if they like you, they will fight for you to get here. They will fight for you. It's as simple as that. And so you want to contact them early. Most applications, especially in North America, for the fall semester, most applications open right after the fall semester starts. So sometime late September, early October. And so right around September, October, you want to just go on the department's website, on the university. Look through the professors. Try to determine if any of them actually is working or has worked on stuff, or his research interest is something that you are interested in. If you are interested in your certificate, send him an email. Introduce yourself very nicely. Tell them that you intend to apply to the school. You want to work with them, and you just want to introduce yourself to them. And if there's any advice that they can give you, something of that sort. Don't just push right there and then that, hey, I want to work with you.
Yeah.
I want to get me admission. No, just do a normal formal introduction.
Okay.
Add your resume if you have a resume. If you're out of school, you don't have a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But still add your resume. Add importantly your transcript. And if there are any bad grades on the transcript, at times you may have a first class or an upper. And your transcripts are, maybe there are some grades on there that are not that good. You want to give an explanation for why the grades are not good.
Okay.
Maybe I was going through a breakup, or my parent died, or at that time I was going through financial issues, and so I couldn't focus on studies. But I was able to turn it around. That is why I was able to get a first class or a second class. And yeah, just introduce yourself like that. It helps if you also read a little bit about them.
Okay.
And so you can just Google their name. Simple. Right now, like nothing crazy. Just Google their name. Try to see if you can find any of their research articles. Just read the summaries, not the whole article, just the summaries, so that at least you have an idea. The abstract, the abstract. And then you can just add it in the email. Like, I see you are working on this, and it's something that is very, very interesting, and I would like to explore that area as part of my research interest. But I just want to introduce myself to you. My name is this, that. So those sort of things. And it is actually very, very good. And most of the time, professors will respond to you. The advice that I give, because I've counseled some people in the past before, the advice I'll give is don't email a bunch of professors at once.
Oh, okay.
One at a time. So email them. If they don't get back to you, it could be that maybe they're on vacation or something of that sort. Email, send a follow-up response, if a follow-up email. If they don't get back to you, maybe after a week, then you can go on to the next professor or something like that.
Okay. I know those who are watching us, they are interested in how to get hold of a professor. How long should your email be like explaining some grades in your transcript may make it lengthy. So how short or long should it be?
It's like, I don't want to recommend whether it should be long or short, but it should be straight to the point. And it should be something that, the one thing that a lot of Africans and Ghanaians, I'll put it that way, we think that you have to use big English to impress some of these professors. No. Most of these people, the level that they are at with regards to their education, there is nothing that you can do to impress them academically. But one thing that you should do is you should know how to sustain a reader's interest. What do I mean by that? Like your email, it is not there that you are going to talk about where you are from and what you have gone through to get there. No. Like straight to the point. I am interested in applying to this school. I was researching the department. I came across you. I realized that your research interest aligns with mine. Hopefully one day I'll be able to work with you, but I just want to introduce myself. I attended this university. I have this degree. I have this this degree in this program, and I would like to further my studies in this program. And I think that your department will be the school will be the best place for me to be. And looking at your research interest is something that those sort of things. And then you don't actually necessarily have to talk about your transcript, but you can just end and you can just say, oh, attached to this email is my transcript and my resume for your review. I would really appreciate if you can give me any feedback with regards to the application process.
Okay.
Do you get what I'm saying? Something like that. But if you know that maybe you had a very high upper, but not a first class.
Okay.
And maybe there were some grades, maybe some D somewhere, some C somewhere. That's kind of like you are all A minus B, A, B or something. You want to offer an explanation so that at least the person will know that it's not like you were slacking, right? So you can just talk about the fact that it was rather unfortunate that around this time, during the second semester in my third year, I was dealing with a lot of family issues or whatever. Like, don't lie.
Yeah.
Just if you really goofed, find a nice way to put it. That at the time, I was dealing with so many things on my plate that I lost track of something. Find a way to talk to the issue without incriminating yourself or without talking bad about yourself, but not lying also. Yeah, something like that.
All right. Thanks for the information. Know that you have got some points from here if you are planning to study abroad, especially in Canada. But let us not go away from our purpose.
Okay.
So let's see. The day you landed in Canada, did you get some support? How was your transition?
Yeah, it was funny. I landed in Canada with less than $200 in my pocket.
$200.
Less than $200. I've forgotten the exact money, but I think my dad gave me 100 Canadian dollars.
Okay.
And I think my auntie's husband also gave me some US dollars as well.
That was a lot of money in Ghana City, right there.
Oh yeah, it was okay. It was okay, but bear in mind that at that time I had already known that my rent was going to be $300 a month, no, $350 a month. But I knew that I was going to get some funding, like some stipend from my teaching assistantship, so I wasn't really worried. But I remember when I touched down here, the good thing actually is that friend of mine, Francis, Francis lived in a house, and I lived in that. When I came, that was the same house that I lived. Francis had moved out, but before I came here, Francis posted a picture on Facebook. This is interesting. He posted a picture on Facebook with this guy, and I looked at the guy, and he looked like someone I knew. And so I reached out to him, and he was like, "Yeah, that's him." And this was like, remember I told you my formative years was in Konongo, right?
Yeah.
And so just before I got to JSS, my dad, who was an accountant at that time in my school, in my international school at that time, like decided to go into full-time ministry. And so my dad left to go to Bible school, and they posted my dad to a village to be a pastor there. And I told my dad I wasn't going to go there. I really loved my school, and so my dad made me go stay with his friend, and they in the house there was a boy who was just a year older than me. His name was Kusi, or his name is still Kusi actually, and so we were basically like brothers. We up to now we see ourselves as cousins, right? And so, but I had lost contact with him after university. He had gone to Norway for schooling and all that, and not knowing he had come to Canada. And so Francis shared a picture, and I saw that it was him. So I reached out to him, and he said, "Don't worry, I will arrange a place for you," and the like. And so he got me the place, and he came with a landlord to come pick me up from the airport. And yeah, and when I came, he gave me $1,000.
Wow.
Yeah, for my upkeep, for me to pay him back anytime that I'm ready.
From Francis?
So, no, not Francis.
Your friend.
That my cousin. Yeah. And so with that, I was able to buy a laptop. I was able to pay my down payment for my room, and I had some money on me. You know, it took about a month before Brock started paying us.
Okay.
But the good thing was, over that month, we were 3 newcomers in the house that we lived in, and the house was kind of like a Ghana house. All of us were all boys. 13 Wallis, all of us, all boys in the house, all from Ghana. 3 of them had completed or were about completing, and the other 3 were the newcomers, myself, Stephen, and some other guy, Dela. And they fed us. They fed us for the whole month that we were there. They fed us. They always cooked for us. They said, "You guys don't have money, so we are going to feed you up until your money started coming."
Okay.
Yeah, and so that was a very nice experience. In fact, my experience was so good when I came here that the day that I landed in Canada, 4th September, I played soccer with a whole bunch of Ghanaians.
Wow.
They came around and we went to play soccer. So it was nice.
Wow.
Nice, yeah.
All right. Many people say they don't like to move outside because of fear of being discriminated or racism. Did you encounter anything that is not normal?
Personally, I wouldn't say I did. Um, if I ever did, maybe I was oblivious to it. But generally, my experience has been one that has been good. Um, my the landlord, my first landlord was a bad was a bad landlord. Um, um, I feel like he took advantage of us as international students who were just here, and we didn't really know the tenancy agreements and stuff like that. And so that's one thing that I believe, that if you are coming here, you have to just make sure that you have somebody here who is advising you. He wouldn't repair stuff, and it was basically the first year in the house. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good. Um, yeah. Other than that, like in school, my colleagues and classmates, we were great. I shared a room, like I shared an office with one other student, and up till now, once in a while we check on each other. I even work right now with some of my like with a lady that I was in the same program with, and we are cool towards each other. By the grace of God, like God was able to use some of them to help me along the way and all that. And so my experience generally has been good. My experience generally has been good. Like, it doesn't mean that is what it is for everyone.
Yeah.
But I believe that you just have to know how to navigate some of these relationships. If you come in with a mindset that everybody is racist, racism will find you.
Yeah.
But most of the time, people, like some of these whites, even when they are racist and they see that you are welcoming, if they see that you are generally approachable, they won't even let you know that they are racist. You get it? But if you try to kind of like make them feel intimidated or uncomfortable, then the racism will come out.
Yeah.
I feel like that. But yeah, just so far, generally, I've not encountered racism.
Yeah. So people, they will treat you the way you see yourself. You present yourself to them.
Yeah.
All right. Let's come to Brock University, where you have your master's degree. How was the education there different than the one you already have back home in Ghana?
I always say this: back home in Ghana, 4 years undergraduate program at University of Ghana. This is not in any way a slight on University of Ghana, but I only went to the library 2 times. The first time was in second year because our macroeconomics professor punished us in class, like the whole class, because he made a joke and like I think we laughed at him or something of that. So then he punished us to go do research on the macroeconomic schools of thought, and so I had to go to the library to just go get a few books and write my essay. That was the first time. And the second time was in 4th year. I think it had to do with, I was looking for a book, and someone told me that they had found it in the library. And so I went there, and that was it. 2 times. 2 times I ever went to the library.
Was it that you don't have the resources there?
I did, like, there was no need for me to go to the library.
Want to go there?
I studied. Yeah, I studied a lot, but not. I'm talking about the university library. Like my department library, I was always there.
You're always there. Okay.
We had a department. Actually, at the math department, we had a library for the department, and we also had a student library.
Okay.
That was run by us students.
Okay.
And most of the time, it was the final year students that were in the library studying. And so most of the time, I was in the student library of the math department.
A study room or library?
Yeah, it was a study room, but we had books that we the students managed. There was a student librarian and stuff like that. And so I was mostly there. But what I'm trying to say, drive at is, over here, like, to even get a book or to even get a resource, you have to know how to use the internet. I never used any internet in Ghana as part of my studies. And so I told you I was also late in coming here, right? And so the school knew that there were international students. And so the first 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of August, they taught them how to research online for articles and books and stuff like that, and I wasn't here. And so I remember when I came here and they gave me like my course outline for micro and macro and all those sort of things. And there were some articles and so there were some books. I didn't even know I could go get them from the library because that hasn't been my mindset, right? And I didn't even know how to research for the articles. And I remember how I researched for the articles was type the whole article and add .pdf to it.
The title?
The title. The title of that article.
Okay.
But maybe like how to, maybe the importance of foreign exchange, foreign direct investment and development in Africa by Evans Boadi, like that. Then I'll add PDF to it and see if it will pop up. And that was how I was looking for it, for my articles. And it was difficult up until our micro professor in the second semester actually taught us again how to look for some of these things. So I went a whole semester without knowing how to search for some of these things. But because I had a math background, graduate level economics is mostly calculation. So it was easy for me to follow along. But when it came to the written part of it and like getting the articles and stuff, that was where I struggled a little bit. It didn't really affect my studies, but it made it difficult.
Okay, yeah.
And over here, the one thing is that you have to encourage us. Like you have to hold yourself accountable to study. Yeah. Most of us back home, we live with our parents and or somebody higher. So there's always an authority over us, right? But once you get out of the country, you're on your own. And so if you don't take care, that freedom might cause you to live your life in a different way. But if you know where you're coming from and if you know the goal that you have set ahead of you, I think you should be encouraged, or you should hold yourself accountable in doing some of these things. I knew that to be able to do well in Canada, I needed to do well in my studies. Okay. Because I didn't want a situation where when I applied for a work permit or permanent resident, my grades wouldn't qualify me. Up to now, I don't even know if that factors into it. But I think at that time, during my time, there was something called Provincial Nominee Program. And I think that was actually based on your grades and your transcript and your certificate or something like that. So if you don't graduate, like as a good student, you can't even apply for that. You couldn't apply for that. And so that was my motivation, right? And for me, as soon as I left Ghana, I knew I wasn't going.
You're not going to go back.
I knew that, Charlie, because I knew that I really wanted to live here. I really wanted to live here, and so I wanted to make my life as easy as possible. So study, when there was time to study, there were parties and stuff that we used to go to and all those sort of things. But when it came to studies, didn't joke with it. Yeah.
You were doing everything possible to remain here.
Yeah.
All right. So let's look at student-teacher relationship. How were you being treated by your teachers?
That's a very good question. There are a whole lot of shocks, cultural shocks that you will get when you come here.
Okay.
First off, professors here, most of them, interestingly though, it's mostly the black professors. Forgive me, but I don't know how to put this. It's mostly the black professors, the African professors, that will want everybody to know that they are professors. But most of these whites, honestly, they don't care. One of the biggest shocks I got was the fact that after class, we used to, the master's program, we were just a few students. I think during my time, we were just 15 students doing the same program. And so we used to go to the same lectures. And so at times we would move away from our department building to a different part of campus for lectures, right? And so afterwards, we all come back to our offices. Each of us students, we had offices in our department. Okay. And so we will most of the time after class work together with the professors back to the department. And students will be smoking along the way
Whilst you are
whilst we are working, like whilst we are coming out, like coming from classes to the department,
class to your office.
and in my head, like, don't you respect? We are working with the professor. Yeah, like, but no, the professors were normal. They were okay with that. That was one shock to smoking, like the fact that people were so comfortable smoking, and the fact that there were times that some of the professors actually even joined the students to smoke. Like, if it's a 3-hour class, after 1 hour 30 minutes, they will break for about 10 minutes, go smoke, and then they will come back. Those other things. Yeah. So, and most of the time, the one thing that will let you know that this particular person is a professor is just by looking at the group. That person might be old. Then you might be able to say, okay, this particular person is a prof. But even now, there are very young professors that are as young as myself and just a little bit older than me. Some of them dress shorts and slippers, and like they look weird and haphazard that if you don't take care, you wouldn't even think they're a professor, right? But generally, they are focused on making your experience a good one. That's the one thing that is different here. Back home, it is flex. Like in our department, in mathematics department, it was flex, or it was something of a pride for some of the professors to say how, to talk about how low students were passing their courses, or the small number of people that were getting A or passing their courses, right? That means that, yeah, they are really intelligent professors. Okay. But here, no, they are really interested in how many people are actually passing, right? They try to do everything possible to get you to pass. It's not like they are just feeding you
with the information.
Or they really teach you.
Okay.
But they make themselves available to you to ask questions, and they really involve themselves in the student's life, right? Like most of the time, we and the profs, we would just go to a pub, we just go and sit there, eat, have a few drinks, those sort of things, right? And they were very open, and so it was easy for us to work with them and to interact with them. And during our time, now it's no longer the case, but during our time, every professor was trying to get us money. That is, believe it or not, because they saw that we Africans, especially the Africans, we didn't have money.
Okay.
And so, like, you'll be there, and then a prof will come and tell you, oh, like, do this for me, or like, maybe I'm working on this project, just do the literature review, and I'll throw some money at you, or something of that sort, right? And so,
wow.
Yeah. Or like maybe towards the end of the semester, the budget for the semester, if there's still some left,
some money,
they would just tell you to sign a contract for something, and then they give you money. Yeah, something of that sort. And so it was a good experience. It was a very wonderful experience. Like, I really enjoyed my time as a student. I was never stressed out. There was even this one time that I had to take one elective from the business school. And the prof wanted us to buy the book. It was his book. I could have bought the book, but I didn't. I couldn't justify why I had to spend that much money on a book that I knew that after school I wasn't going to use it. I don't know why, but something just told me to walk up to the prof and tell him that, you know what, I'll be happy if you could give me one of his books for the semester, and afterward I'll bring it to him. He's like, sure. I was like, yeah. So he's like, yeah, wait for me. After class, he walked with me to his office, and he gave me one of the books and he told me to bring it after the semester was ended. I don't know if it was because he saw me as a black, like African, so I didn't have money or something of that sort. But it was just on a whim. So I asked him. He said yes. He gave me the book, and so I didn't have to buy the book. And afterwards, I gave him the book back. So, yeah, generally, my experience at Brock was very wonderful, very good.
Yeah, so here professors they want to find a way to make sure you get something for your pocket and success. So
it's not always the case.
Yeah, sometimes.
Now, like, because afterwards I've been following the students that have been coming, right? And it's not like that no more. But those days.
Okay. That is some of the good parts of his experience here. Yeah. Were you a TA?
I was a
teaching assistant.
Yeah. You want me to talk about that experience?
Yeah, talk about it. How
it was easy for me because I was a TA in Ghana. I was a mathematics TA. I actually taught a course in Ghana, at the University of Ghana. So at least I had that experience. For me, there are some people that when they come here and they see whites, or
The
when they
color.
see a bunch of them together, they feel threatened or they can't talk. For me, like, you can even tell, I've been here for 10 years. I talk the same way, like how I talked when I was in Ghana. Maybe it's changed a little bit, but I wouldn't say I have somebody would say Lafa or I have a foreign accent or something of that sort. Just be yourself.
All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll be back. Welcome back. We are still on conversation with Pastor Isaac Oduro-Kwarteng. Now, finally, 2 years you graduated from school. Did you do research? What was it about?
Oh, okay. So as I said, I did a master's in economics. It was actually business economics, masters of business economics. It was a co-op program, and so 1 year of academic work, and then 8 months of co-op, which is work experience. And by the grace of God, I was able to land a position in the Ministry of Transportation. And so
For your co-op?
Yeah, for my co-op as a TA, which was good money. In fact, I think that was one of the reasons why, when I came here, I had plans of going to do a PhD program. But once I started doing that co-op and I started getting money, at the moment I didn't want to go to this. And I had family in Ghana that I was supporting as well, and so the money was good. But I did business economics, and my research was a major research paper. So it was something that I used 4 months to write, and it was basically on private sector credit and how it's like in sub-Saharan Africa and how it's been impacting development. Yeah.
Wow. Because of money, you didn't continue school. I was going to ask you that there are options, and from where you are coming from, or what you've been telling us, you'll be a good student, or you're a good student. And I'm wondering why you didn't continue to PhD.
It is what it is. I actually applied to a PhD program. At the time, I was married.
Okay.
And I got admitted into a PhD program, but the money was small. Looking back, I don't regret my decision. Honestly, I'm at peace with it because, as I said, I come from a large family actually, and most of them were back in Ghana at that time. Now my brother is here; he's doing his PhD in political science. But there was no way I could have supported my family back home if I were a student. Because bear in mind, as a student, this time my funding was going to be very low. I wouldn't have even been able to pay for my accommodation. I wouldn't have paid tuition, but the TA income, the stipend was very, very low. It was lower. It was going to be lower than what I was getting even as a master's student. And so looking at all of those, I just felt like, it's better that I just continue the work that I was doing at that time. Yeah.
So after school, how were you able to work, a foreigner?
So that's why I said the co-op program was good. The co-op program was good. Co-op in here is different from how they do internships in Ghana most of the time. I was really doing some serious work, like some serious analysis in the Ministry of Transportation, where we were just basically looking at ways that we can save money, my department, for the ministry. And so after school, that experience was helpful. I couldn't get a full-time job because around that time, the government was trying to cut down on expenses. And so they weren't hiring anybody. There was a hiring freeze. And so I had to look for a job. And for 2 months, I didn't have a job. But because I had worked for almost a year doing my co-op, I was eligible for EI, employment insurance. So I was getting some money every 2 weeks to help me for 2 months. And then by the grace of God, I was able to get my job. And I was in there for 7 years until recently I changed my job. Now I'm working full-time in banking. Yeah.
Wow. Wow, congratulations on that.
Thank you very much.
Now, you finished school. I know people travel to other countries. You can't just work.
Yeah.
Once you are done with school, you need some documents.
Yeah.
How were you able to get yours?
So the good thing, right? The good thing about Canada, I don't know. I'm sure this program is mostly about experience in Canada. The good thing about Canada is difficult to get here.
Okay.
But once you come here, it's easy to stay. You don't have to do anything illegal. Come as a student, go to school, do well in school. After school, you can apply to become a permanent resident. And whilst you are waiting for your permanent residency, you can, even before you apply for your permanent residency, right after school, they have something called a postgraduate work permit that can give you anywhere between 1 year to 3 years based on the duration of your program of study during your, whether it's undergrad or master's. And once you have that postgraduate work permit, you can literally work anywhere. And all that you need to do is to start looking for jobs. And availability of jobs is dependent on situations, locations, and your program and all those sort of things. But honestly, after school, you have to be really lazy to say that you are struggling. Because even if you can't land like an office white collar, or what do they call it? Is it blue collar or whatever?
Yeah.
Like a job in your field, you can do papa here and there. I told you that for 2 months I wasn't working, right? That 2 months I had this little car that I was doing some taxi business on the side, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So at that time the Uber wasn't even around. And we were doing some taxi here and there, even though it was illegal. But we were running ourselves here and there. Do you get it? So, yes, right now there are so many ways in which you can work, but you don't have to do anything illegal. That's the most important thing, because the interesting thing is that the laws here, you might think that the laws don't work until you get into trouble. And so just come to school. When you're a student, I think right now you can only work 20 hours a semester when you are a student.
Yeah.
20 hours a week when you're a student. Stick to that. Vacation time, during the summer, unlimited hours. You can work and work and work and work, get all the money. As soon as the school comes into effect, you are now a student. Work your 20 hours. Right after school, before you complete, apply for your postgraduate work permit. Then start looking for jobs in your field. Don't limit yourself, right? Just pray and ask God to direct you, but apply for jobs. And if you are not married, even if you are married, be mobile, especially up until you get your permit. I will recommend that you are mobile within your province. So just live around, like move around. If you get a job anywhere, just go. Like, don't just limit yourself to that location.
Yeah.
Right. That is if you don't have any. If you don't have any plans of going to school.
Okay.
But if you have plans of going to school, right, whilst you are doing your master's program, start reaching out to schools about, like, especially maybe if you are working on your research, start reaching out to schools about coming there for your PhD and stuff like that. But that's basically it. So once, if you are not going to school, postgraduate work permit, then you can apply for a permanent residence. And Canada has spent money on you because you don't pay tuition here.
Yeah.
So they want to recoup their money.
They want to get their money.
So that is it. Like, they make it easy for you to stay. Just go through the programs, apply for your permanent resident. If you get your permanent resident, I think 2 or 3 years after that, you can apply to be a citizen.
Yeah.
You don't have to let go of your Ghanaian citizen.
Okay.
For instance, in Ghana, you can hold both of them.
Dual citizenship.
Dual citizenship, and then make things easy for you and stuff like that. So it's tough to get here, but once you get here, just follow the laws. And they keep changing the immigration laws, of course, but just be abreast with it, and then you should be fine. Yeah.
Okay, you made the mention that when you were in school, you were doing everything possible so you can remain here, especially doing well in your academics. And you mentioned about provincial nominee.
Yeah.
Is it still there, or is that how you got your permanent residence?
That is how I got my permanent. That is okay. So the provincial nominee is like this. After school, you apply to the province to nominate you to be a permanent resident in Canada. And so I don't know if it's still in existence. I don't know. But during our time, that was how it was. You apply. It took about 3 months for them to respond to you. And then once they respond to you, they give you a certificate of nomination. And then you add a certificate to your permanent resident application. Most of the time, if you had that nomination certificate, you were close.
Automatically going to get it.
So unless something crazy happens. Yeah, so that was how it is. For me, I had to wait because I wanted to go get married to my then girlfriend who was in Ghana at that time. Then when she got here, also as a student, then I started the application process for my permanent resident.
How long did you wait?
What?
How long did you wait?
So I graduated in 2013 and I applied in 2015, so almost 2 years.
Okay, all right. So now you are a pastor.
Yeah.
In what church and how did you become?
Yeah, I am a pastor in All Nations Full Gospel Church.
Okay.
There was a church that I got invited to when I was a student by the then pastor, and when I came here, when I came to the church, I loved it, and so I stayed, and yeah, that was back in 2012. So I've been a member of that church up until this time. So about 2 years ago, the then pastor at that time had to leave for some personal reasons, and so yeah, we were approached by the leadership to hold down the fort until a replacement was sent, and God had other plans, and so here we are. And,
okay, and now you are a pastor.
Yeah.
All right. How was the feeling when the leadership asked you to become a pastor? Did you have plans actually that one day I may become a pastor?
I didn't have any plans. My dad was a pastor. I literally have said it many times, and I said in the past that me, pastor, I would never be a pastor. I would never ever be a pastor. I said that many times, but when the calling came, there was nothing I could do, right? I prayed about it. My wife and I, we talked about it, we discussed it, we spoke with some other people for advice. At that time, my dad was alive, spoke with him, and he said, it's God's work. If you do it well, there are benefits, and even if you don't want to do it, for God's work to be left undone, just do it. And so, yeah, we prayed about it and decided as a family that we were going to do it. And so far, it's been good.
All right. Which year did you become a pastor?
It was 2019.
2019.
Yeah.
And now there is a pandemic during the time you've been a pastor. How has that affected you?
It was interesting. I think it was less than after a year when we became pastors, and then the pandemic hit. Added to that, my dad died. Added to that, we had a kid, our second child. So as a family, we were very busy. Church had to move online, of course, and at this time, we just have to. As I'm talking about now, as a pastor.
Okay.
I think as a church body, not just our local, not just our nation, but generally church. How church is done should change, because I believe that with COVID and how church was moved online, people have become more comfortable with worshiping God on their own terms, which I don't see anything wrong with that. As long as that person is okay with what they are doing and it's not affecting their spirituality and their relationship with God, I don't think that we are to expect that the church building will always be full.
Okay.
Like how it used to be on Sundays before
the pandemic.
People now want to be able to enjoy their sleep, wake up, log online and just worship or listen to the sermon or something of that sort. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they have. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have left God or they are backslidden, right? That is how church is, and people have become comfortable.
Okay.
It will take some time before things come back to normal. But yeah, it was challenging, but by the grace of God and with the help of people in our church, and yeah, we were able to pull through, and we are still learning even as we go.
Yeah, one special day we will have you on this show again, and we will talk about how God is using you in your church. You have free time. So, in your last words, what advice do you want to give to those who want to come here,
Okay.
and those who are here?
All right. So let me take it this. Let me first talk about those that are already here. Just have a plan for your life. I believe that is very, very important. Why did you want to come here in the first place? Why did you want to come here? No, don't like never forget why you wanted to come here. There are opportunities here. It doesn't matter how difficult it is. There are opportunities here. Just avail yourself to use those opportunities. Don't lose hope. At times it can get very difficult. At times it can feel like you might feel lonely and the like, because like it took 3 years before I was even able to see my girlfriend at that time to go marry her, right? When I came here, and afterwards it took about 5 more years before I went back home. That was even before, because my dad died. So the last time I saw my dad was when I went home to get married. Did you get it? That was, and 5 years afterward, I didn't see him again, and he died. My mom was able to visit us when we had our baby. But my dad, stubborn as he was, he wouldn't come. But just enjoy your time here. Just don't do anything illegal.
Okay.
Talk to people, especially people that have been here for some time, so that the mistakes that they made, you don't make those same mistakes. Be very, very careful about the laws here concerning marriage and breakups and those sort of things. A whole lot of people with very promising futures, their lives have been derailed through the kind of marriages that they got themselves into. So be very, very careful about that. Most importantly, don't abandon God. Don't abandon God. Don't let the quest for money here get you to the point where you forget God. You know, it's because when you get small money here, even I've been here for 10 years. Like even for me, at times I convert the money to Ghana cedis, even though I've been away for 10 years. And so when you are here and you think about how when you are making money, it seems like it's a lot compared to back home. You might think that, oh, you have to make more money, make more money, make more money, make more money.
Yeah.
You don't take care, you're just going to get sick, and you might end up, the money might mean, like, you might even die. Let me put it as bluntly as possible. But just enjoy your time. Make sure that you are saving for your future. You are planning for your life here. And make sure you involve God in everything that you do. And most importantly, also talk to people around, people that are already here. So that's for the people that are here. Now to those that want to come, Canada is a good place to come. Go through the right channels. Don't use connection, man. Nothing like. Go through the right channels. I personally believe that the easiest way to get here is as a student.
Coming as a student.
I think the easiest way to get here is coming as a student. Of course, there's a grandparent visa that's for your parents and all those. It's easier for them to come once you are here and you are a permanent resident and all that. But yes, if you have something good doing in Ghana, I wouldn't say that unless I wouldn't say leave that and come here, because honestly, at times it can be a struggle here to make ends meet and to get a job. And so if you are living comfortably in Ghana and the like, if you want to come for vacation, cool. But to leave a good paying job and for you to say, I just want to come here, you might come and be doing minimum wage job or something of that sort. But honestly, for someone like me and some of the people that are here, like, we didn't have anything doing in Ghana. At that time, I was a TA. I was going to go do my master's for sure. But, like, honestly, the prospects for me coming here was far better than if I had remained in Ghana, right? But if you get the opportunity to come, weigh the pros and cons. If you don't have anything doing, especially if you're a student, come here. Yeah, it will be good. If you're a young person, you have the means, come here. But don't come to struggle. Come here with a plan. as a student or as a worker or those sort of things, yeah, then it will be good for you. Yeah, reach out to people for information about how to make the experience good for you before you come here as well.
All right.
That's about it.
Thank you so much, Pastor Oduro-Kwarteng. He said it. He said that reach out to other people, get their experience, and use it to model your own life. That's why this show is for you. Always watch it and share with your friends. Thank you, Pastor, for joining us on this show. You have learned a lot from you. And another time, we will call you and you talk about how you are doing well. You are doing as a pastor. And you take us through the word of God. Thank you so much, and thank you for watching. See you another time.
God bless.